Let's find a comfortable seat. Now, I often encourage you, I'm going to sit on my bolster, to sit on something to elevate, not fall back, to elevate your hips. So if your knees tend to be up here and it tends to round your spine, it can feel a bit uncomfortable and a bit contracted. So if you're sitting up on something with your hips forward slightly, it just allows our knees to drop down. Now, I know some of you have attended the first two sessions, so this is about exploring our layers. So today's session is what we call our mental body or mind body. So I thought I would just touch on what the koshas are briefly, what the first two sessions, the first two layers are, so you have a bit of an idea if you haven't attended any of them, kind of what we're looking at, and then we'll go into the session. So the koshas are basically layers. If you read the blurb on the website, it's imagining having, onions, like layers of our body, and they're all interconnected. Now we tend to, there's 5 layers. So we have our physical body, which we did in lesson 1, which is movement, how we move, what we eat, how we sleep, all that kind of stuff. The second layer is your energy body, which is kind of our sense of vitality, energy, or maybe fatigue. Today is our mind body. And then your innermost layers are more to do with kind of wisdom and joy and bliss. So they start to become a bit more intuitive. So we always tend to work with the outer 3 layers because they tend to be more accessible. Now, our lived experiences shape our layers. So they might shape how we hold tension in our body. They might shape how we breathe or how we maybe function day to day, because our lived experiences have impacts on us, right? And what can happen is sometimes we may feel like one of our layers is out of balance. So for example, if we hold tension in our physical body, if we feel like we're like this a lot of the time, it may then affect how we breathe in our energetic body, which may then affect our mind body because we might feel tension mentally, So all of our layers interact all the time. But the good news is that when we make positive changes in one layer, it then blends into all the other layers as well. So if you were to just sit here and take a slow breath in, exhale, drop your shoulders with a sigh, you might already feel a little bit of tension leaving the body. So the physical body is very much, and we'll do this anyway with every class, accepting the body as it is in each posture, acknowledging the body and its wisdom. Like, it will give us information all the time. We just need to listen and attend to it with curiosity and also compassion. So it's about reconnecting. It's about creating a space for our body to feel safe. And we do a lot of that with breath work. So that's our physical body. Our energetic body is about the movement of prana. Now, prana is this energetic life force. So in traditional Chinese medicine, you have qi. I think in Japan, you have ki, but it's all the same thing. It's all this life force moving through our body. Now, when we breathe, it's a conduit for prana. So we move it through our energy channels. And we do that through breath practice and breath awareness. And our body thrives in oxygen-rich environments. So it's really important for our cells and our tissues and our energy production to make sure that we provide energy for our body through oxygen. And we do that through diaphragmatic breathing and breathing practices that I'll take you through today. So the mind body, today's practice. So we experience the world through our 5 senses. So sight, sound, speech, hearing, touch. And the world we experience, we can form attachments to, or equally aversions to, these experiences that we have, and also our perceptions of those experiences. So based on those interpretations, that is how we form our habits, our behaviours, and our thought processes, which can be positive or negative. Also our sense of self, how we show up in the world, how we relate to the world around us. So there's always quite a lot going on in our mind body, right? So when there's an imbalance in this layer, that might show up as anxiety or frustration or anger. So when we experience trauma, it can bring obviously emotional and psychological challenges, and naturally this can then feed into our other layers, our other koshas, and how they represent themselves, if you like. Now, how can we support? So a lot of my training yoga therapy focused on Buddhism, and the Buddhists believe the first foundation of mindfulness is mindfulness of the body and breath, and we do this in every session, and it's a critical first step for learning how to regulate our emotions and also repetitive or negative thoughts. So it's all about kind of building interoceptive awareness, being in our body. So let's begin. Feel free to ask any questions if you have any. Otherwise, we're going to lie down. Now, depending on what props you have, either at the studio or home, you can lie either, and it's really just what's most comfortable for you. It might be legs over the bolster. You can always have something under your head. Or perhaps you want to have the bolster behind you. Make sure you've got space around your lower back so your hips aren't pressed to the bolster. And you may want to come into more of a chest opening position and have this support. So it really is up to you. So take your time to find a comfortable position. And we'll begin with our breathing. So just taking time to settle your physical body, which we call our Annamaya kosha. So feel your physical body on the ground. And take a moment to make any adjustments, anything you need to find a more comfortable position. So taking a moment to ground, like literally feeling the ground underneath you and that sense of support, is one way to bring mindfulness into your practice. So mindfulness is all about present moment experience. When we work with our five senses, which is to do with our mind, body, our mental body, it can only be present moment. And what we can work with today is our interpretation of those senses or sensations arising for us in our body. For now, that sensation is your breath. And if you quite like to have your hands on your body, you can place them on your belly, or one hand heart, one hand belly, and start to have that kind of tangible awareness of the breath underneath your hands. See if you can allow your upper arms to be supported. And I invite you to notice the belly rising and falling with your breath. And one grounding exercise is to breathe up and down from the ground. So as you breathe in, draw the earth's energy up into those contact points into your body. And as you breathe out, imagine the breath moving out through those contact points back into the earth. So there's a lot of pranic energy in the earth, a lot of this life force in nature, in the sun, in the food that we eat, and the breath that we draw into our body, into our energetic body. So feel the ebb and flow of your breath. Continue with that sensation, breathing up and down from the ground. An awareness of the belly rising and falling. And I invite you to check in that your breath is light and gentle. There's no force. There's no pushing or pulling of your breath. Instead, allowing the breath to ripple through your body, increasing the flow of prana and this vital energy. And the purpose is to contain prana within. So one way to view this is that if we were to experience anxiety, it's as though the prana is moving outwards and is feeling very scattered. So through breathing practices, we learn to keep drawing that prana inwards and keep moving through those energy channels. And if you feel like your breath has settled, I invite you now to elongate your exhale. And this supports downgrading our stress response. It supports easing emotional tension and physical tension in the body. So as you breathe out, can you imagine any tension, whether that's emotional or physical or both, moving out of your body and allowing it to be absorbed by the ground beneath you? And when we nurture our rest and digest mode, our parasympathetic response, this is an important step for recovery and reconciling with our body. And it also positively affects our mental realm, so our mind-body layer. And it becomes this self-nourishing cycle. So we will be preparing to move in just a moment, but let's just take the last few breaths here. Finding a softness and a sense of ease in your body. Now, before we continue and before we start moving, just take a moment to consider this sense of nourishment and compassion as you move through the practice today. Naturally, I'm not entirely aware of where anybody is at the stage, any surgery sites there may be that might be tense or uncomfortable still. So I encourage you to move really mindfully through any discomfort, knowing that movement is important, but equally we don't want to push or strive or strain our body at all. So we're going to start by just walking the feet in towards you. That's it, keeping your feet flat on the ground, bring them fairly close to the hips, but not touching. And just slide your hands down to your pelvis. We're just going to rock the pelvis. So you're going to find this kind of rocking action of your pelvis. So you're going to be, it doesn't lift, the pelvis doesn't lift. But one way to look at it is just pressing your lower back down, so your tailbone tucks under, and then releasing the lower back, so the pelvis kind of rocks forwards. So just finding this gentle rock of your pelvis. This is also an opportunity to become aware of your pelvic floor. So as your lower back lifts and the pelvis rocks forwards, the pelvic floor relaxes. And as you press your lower back down, the pelvic floor lifts up. So just very slowly feeling this rock and bringing your awareness, your attention to the pelvic floor muscle. Keep your shoulders relaxed, the lower jaw soft. So when we practice with mindfulness, it's also noticing that when we move, does it create unnecessary tension anywhere else in the body? Do we begin to hold our breath? So you want to keep the breath free flowing. And we want to soften areas of tension where we don't need to hold, we don't need those muscles to activate. So all you need to pay attention to is that rocking of your pelvis forwards and back. That relaxing and lifting of the pelvic floor muscle. And then I invite you to stillness, kind of finding somewhere in between the two. Then bring attention to your feet. And you're very simply, and you can still have your hands on your body or by your side, it doesn't matter. I'm going to rock onto the heels so the toes lift, and then rock onto the balls of the feet so the heels lift. So toes and then heels. And you may notice when you lift your heels, it's quite subtle, but maybe feeling a little bit more awareness around the lower abdomen. It's remembering that we don't always have to make really big dynamic movements. It's quite nice to work subtly with the body and pay attention to these subtle sensations. They don't always need to be big and obvious. And then bring your feet to stillness and bring your hands to your shoulders. I'm going to take some shoulder circles. So we're going to bring the elbows towards each other and round in a big circle. And I invite you to go slowly. So especially if you're working with, if there's any potential scar tissue or sensitivities there, really moving slowly and really kind of exploring the movement and being gentle with yourself. And then let's go the opposite direction. And part of practicing mindfulness as well and making sense of maybe thoughts coming in is observing sensation as sensation. It's very easy for us to sometimes apply narrative, especially if we feel pain somewhere. We can apply narrative to that may not be true. So can we observe sensation as sensation because you're moving your arms, you're stretching out the muscles and you're moving through your joints, and the sensation is arising because of that. And then from here, we're going to clasp the opposite elbows. We're going to take the arms overhead. Just finding a little bit of opening through the shoulders. Now at this point, if this feels a bit too intense and you'd rather bring your arms out wide, so what we kind of call cactus arms, you can always choose that position. There's a fine line really between discomfort and pain. And we want to be mindful that we don't push into any pain, but can we work with discomfort in the body? Can we use our breathing to help soften and move through that discomfort? And then we're going to give the arms and shoulders a little break and return to the lower body. So bring your arms into a position that feels comfortable for you. And we're going to stretch the legs out straight. And this is a bit of a kind of lazy movement, if you like. So we're not trying to apply too much effort. So let your legs relax. And we're going to inhale, slide the right foot in. Exhale, drop it out to the side and slide it back to straight. So inhale, slide it in, foot flat to the floor. Exhale, drop the knee out. Keep that external rotation as you slide that leg back to straight. So it's slow. There's an opportunity to notice tension or tightness around the hip joint. Having that sensation of the foot sliding up and then that knee rolling out and then sliding back straight. And can we attend to this present moment experience fully? Can we apply all our attention to this experience? Doesn't mean the mind won't wander. It just means that we'll become aware of the mind wandering and we bring it back. And that is part of a mindfulness practice. We're not trying to still the mind, but we're trying to observe and notice and return. Let's just do one more of those. And then bend both your knees again, feet flat to the floor, and bring your right leg in and clasp behind your thigh. See if you can keep your shoulders and upper body relaxed. And we're going to inhale, straighten the leg. So getting the knee joint working here now, and exhale, bend. And of course you're going to be stretching out the hamstring. So if you feel restriction at the back of the thigh, don't force it. Just move with your breath. Remember, there's no goal today except moving and breathing and attending to our body. We're not trying to achieve anything specific. So letting go of any expectations and just being with the movements that you're making and that softness of your breath. And the next time your leg is up, rotate your ankle. So just give the ankle a little rotation. And slowly moving the ankle. And then taking it the other way if you haven't already switched. This is great for the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system loves movement. It loves joint movement. It loves muscle activation. So slowly release your leg back down and send your legs straight again. So slide them straight. We'll do the same on the opposite side. So breathing in, sliding that leg in. Breathing out, dropping it to the side and sliding it straight. Match the movement to your breath rather than the other way round. So the slower the breath, the slower the movement. And perhaps the more engaged you may feel in that movement. Let's do one more after this one. And then slowly walk your feet in. So your feet are flat to the floor. Clasp behind your left thigh. And again, check in, shoulders relaxed, belly relaxed. And as you inhale, straighten. Exhale, bend. If you do feel like the hamstrings are feeling tight today, just observe them as the muscles feeling tight. Now notice if any other narrative comes in around that. And come back to just this pure sensation. Okay, on the next one, keep it up and circle your ankle. Notice if any tension has risen to your jaw. If you're a teeth clencher, notice if that's something that keeps coming back, and soften the lower jaw, soften the tongue. Switching directions. Good, lovely. And then we're going to gently lay the foot back down. So depending on how holding opposite elbows felt, if this was too intense, because we're going to hold opposite elbows above our chest this time, you can always come to cactus arms or arms by your side. We're going to add in windshield wipers. So take your feet as wide as the mat and grab and gently hold your elbows above your chest if you're choosing this position. Drop your knees to the left and you're kind of seesawing your arms to the right. And the knees to the right, arms to the left. So this is great for kind of hip mobility because you've got this internal and external rotation happening. And obviously we're stretching out the shoulders here, but we're also stimulating lymph nodes around the groin and the armpit. So kind of getting this kind of squeeze and release effect, if you like. Just one more round, slow and steady. Come to stillness. Release your arms by your side. If you want to bring your knees into your chest and hold your knees, you can. Whichever one you're choosing, relax your shoulders, relax your belly, and bring your attention to your breath. And can we observe thoughts as kind of thought clouds constantly moving through? We encourage the mind to not stop and dwell and keep returning to the body and the breath. So this first foundational mindfulness practice, body and breath awareness. And then from here, please roll to whichever side feels most comfortable for you and come back to seated. And again, grab something to sit on if you prefer. It's not compulsory. We're just going to take a moment's pause here. So close down your eyes or have them downcast. Observe your breathing and just notice your shoulders and take the exhale again and soften. Sometimes we can feel the weight of the world on our shoulders, and often when we feel that tension, those shoulders rise up. So just gently soften. Take your left hand to your right shoulder, and if it's not comfortable to where it hurts to cross the arm over your body, you can keep your hand down and just drop your left ear to your left shoulder. Otherwise, just place a gentle hand there. And slow your breathing. And as though you would do this with a friend, hand on the shoulder. A sense of kind of, I've got you. Let's breathe easy. Literally feel that connection, hand to shoulder. the movement of your breath through your belly. And then very slowly bring your head back up. Release your hand if it was there. Again, same option if it feels okay. Opposite hand, opposite shoulder. And just gently let the weight of your hand rest there. Let your ear drop to the right shoulder. And breathe gently. And noticing what you can attend to, where your body meets the earth. Where you feel the breath in your body. Stretch along the side of the neck. Can we keep it simple, this kind of bare bones experience? And then gently bringing your head up, gently releasing your hand. Now I invite you here to find some kind of non-linear undulating movement, and it can be anything. It can be a sway side to side, as you're just trying to sway out any tension or unwanted energy. You might want to circle. You might want to do kind of cat-cow movements, so arching and rounding your spine. There's literally no hard and fast rules here. It's just swaying and moving. And just letting go of this sense of holding yourself too tightly. Notice your breath. Just moving your body through space. And then slowly coming to stillness and just pausing again. Exhaling, soften shoulders, lower jaw. And then we're going to make our way to standing. However you like to get there, please come to stand. Just encouraging a slight lift of energy a little bit here. So standing with your feet about hip width, so not too narrow because it can make our base feel a bit unsteady. I'm just going to do some heel lifts. So lift the heels, can you engage the muscles in your thighs and your bum, and then release. Lifting and lowering. So you're getting the calf muscles involved here. Think of all this kind of muscular activity as little pumps for your lymphatic system. This is great for working with our balance, strengthening ankles. Feeling that little squeeze at the top. And bring your brain into the muscles that are activating here. The more we keep attending brain to muscular activity, the stronger those neural connections become, and the more they tend to then react more effectively. So think brain into the bum, brain into the thighs, the calves. Let's go for 3. Oh, lost it. For 2. And 1. Release your heels down and soften your knees. We're going to take a moving chair here. So bend the knees, sweep your arms up, inhale. And as you exhale, bend forwards just very gently. But what I would like you to do is now push your feet into the ground to bring you back up. And then sweep back. Push against the ground, feel the connection to the earth. We push against it to move every day. But do it intentionally. Drive down to come up. Last 2. Last 1. Take a big slow circle with your arms. Okay, so we're going to challenge our balance a little bit here. So bring your hands to your hips. If it feels okay to clasp behind, you're welcome to take this position too. You can choose. So we're going to start in chair pose. We're going to shift the weight into the left foot. So I want you to think about this sense of grounding and pushing down, using the ground for support. I'm going to pick up the right leg and maybe wrap it on top. Now you can start with your right toes resting on the ground. And you can always practice lifting that foot up. Now think about your stabilizing leg, your left leg here. So if you press that foot into the ground, you may feel those muscles activate. Also, if you squeeze your legs together, does that provide more support? And now last but not least, are you holding your breath? Breathe gently. And now push the ground away to release to stand. Lovely. And just relax for a moment. Just soften, maybe have a little wiggle. Love wiggles. Good. Okay. Let's do the other side. So hands wherever you wish. Come back into your chair and just check that when you kind of come into chair pose, your head's not pulling forwards. So keep the head as an extension of your spine. Then we're going to shift the weight right foot, anchor down, squeeze in. Use your glutes here and your thigh muscles, and then wrap and maybe start with your toes on the ground first and just adjust as you need. And then maybe pick that foot off the floor. This is an opportunity, no matter what's happening in the body, whether it feels really challenging or the muscles are burning or it feels like the joints are starting to wobble a little bit. Can you keep your breath steady? Can you breathe easy? And you keep telling your body, your brain, I am safe, I am okay. It's an easy breath. And then we're going to push the ground away again with the right foot and release. And again, just have a little wiggle, shake it all out. Okay, I'm just going to check the time. All right, so last little bit here. And then we'll come down and start winding down a bit. So we're going to go wide with our legs. So face the long edge of your mat, doesn't matter which direction, as long as, whatever is easier for you to see me. We're going to come into warrior 2. So kind of nice, wide, strong stance. I'm going to mirror you. We're going to point the left foot to the short edge of the mat, and the right foot's going to turn in a little bit. Notice if your hips tend to do that. See if you can level your pelvis and keep your body upright. Then we're going to slide into that left knee. Again, you decide where you want your arms to be. If you want to keep them down, you can. If you want to keep them, take them out to the side, you can. Now the drishti, which is in yoga the direction of our gaze, is traditionally over the fingers of the front hand. Obviously don't strain the neck. So you're looking in that direction, but don't strain the neck to hold it there. So things I'd like you to pay attention to is drawing the tailbone down a little. So imagine you're pressing the pelvis forwards. So you get this hip stretch and your bum switches on as well. Ribs are in, which helps to keep those deep abdominal muscles engaging. And relax your shoulders. We're going to take 3 more breaths here. You can place your arms down any point you like. Really press your feet into the ground. Be mindful of this present moment sensation. We know we're working our legs. We know our arms might get tired. And just see it as that. And then release to stand. So straighten the leg. Let's take some arm circles here. Just to relieve any tension from the shoulders. And they can be as big or as small as you like. You can even just do shoulder rolls. You don't have to do shoulder circles. Okay, come to stillness. Take a breath in. Out the mouth. Let it go. Pivot. Left foot in, right foot to the short edge of the mat. Again, check the pelvis. It doesn't matter if it's at an angle, but if you can get it level, it helps to keep the body upright as you bend the front knee. But don't get too stuck on alignment. It really isn't that important. The most important thing is what works for your body, which might be different to each of us on the screen. So let's reach the arms up. Okay. Now press your feet into the mat. We want to get those legs working, get the bum working, keep the front ribs in, and gaze over the fingers of your right hand this time. So when we come into these longer holds, one, they're brilliant for strengthening our muscles, but there is an opportunity to observe this mental body. For example, this is hard, I want to come out of it, I've had enough, I don't like Lindsay very much, we're here too long. Notice this kind of rumination if it's happening, and it's an opportunity to regulate our breathing. Can we attend to our breath and allow that to soften any tension in the mind and the body? So last couple of breaths here. And then release. Maybe take some arm circles or shoulder rolls. And then release your arms, slow breath in, out the mouth, let it all go. And then just heel toe everything back towards each other, nice and gently, bringing everything back together. Okay, it is time to come to lie down, please. So when you're ready to, or as you lie down, things that are really important is comfort and warmth. So take your time to get comfortable. It might be something small under the back of your head. It might be socks, jumpers, blankets, bolsters. You really can't have enough props to get comfortable. So lying down when you're ready. And we're just going to come into constructive rest first before we come into Shavasana. So place your feet flat to the floor. Equally, a bolster under your knees is fine as well. We're just going to work a little bit with the heart center and some somatic based work, which we've been doing all session really. Somatic based work is attending to the body with mindfulness, being aware of sensation, but include other things like tapping and stroking and that undulating movement we were just doing. That was very somatic based. So I invite you to bring your fingertips to your heart center or your upper chest. That's it, and just find little taps. Just little taps. And you can do it all the way across to your shoulder, to the opposite shoulder, or you can just tap around the heart space. Just gently. So when we kind of maybe feel a bit stuck, maybe pranic energy feels stuck, especially around the heart center, especially if we're working with anxiety or worries, the idea with tapping is that it's attempting to kind of shift that energy, to shift that stuckness. So can you concentrate on belly breathing here? And imagine that energy shifting. It might not necessarily be relevant now, but just a practice, if you like it, that you can do anytime. You may want to slow the tapping. Just do what feels right. It might just be simply letting your hands rest on your body. Keep your breathing gentle. Then bring your hands down to your belly and just circle very gently clockwise. And all these somatic type experiences, this sense of touch, self-touch or massage, is attending to our body. It's great for what we call our vagus nerve, and our vagus nerve is linked to our parasympathetic system, so our calm nervous system response. And when we stimulate that nerve through all of the kind of things we've been doing today, it helps to quicken the messages to the brain to say, I'm okay, I am calm, I am at ease. And then I invite you to very gently settle now into Shavasana. You're welcome to keep your hands on your body. You're welcome to place them by your side, palms up. And as you settle your body, use your breath to help you. We're not trying to control the breath. It doesn't need to be a certain way, but simply observe. Observe the in and out flow. Can you feel the breath at your nostrils? Can you feel the ebb and flow of the breath as it draws prana into your body? And when we've moved and we've breathed and we've attended to our body and our breath, it can help move through blockages so prana can flow more freely. And I invite you now to scan your body and find a place that feels open and soft and connected. And perhaps that's where you've been attending to, so your heart and your belly. Or maybe it's somewhere else entirely. And can you hold that easeful, soft space in your mind? And we're not trying to make it cognitive. We're not trying to apply thought or sense or reasoning. It is a felt sense experience of just being with this experience. When we work on settling our nervous system, it becomes a foundation for deeper work. And when we learn to keep nurturing this calm, baseline, ideal state in the body, and we cultivate curiosity towards our body and its sensations, we develop interoception. So we develop awareness of our internal experience. And when we attend to the messages within us that are guiding us to a greater understanding of what our body needs, this sense supports healthy boundaries and connections. Breath, body, heart. Allow the breath to stay light and gentle. So So the belly is barely rising and falling. As you breathe, find a softening of your whole body into the earth beneath you. Just allowing a sense of easefulness flow through your body. And perhaps take a moment to repeat internally. Perhaps see if any of these resonate with you. I am not my anxiety. I am not my symptoms. I am not my thoughts. Through these mindfulness practices, you begin to become the non-judgmental, compassionate witness, allowing sensations to arise in a safe space, to breathe and unfold, to listen, slow down and connect, and let yourself know you are heard. Just resting in quiet now for the last couple of minutes of the practice, and I'll let you know when it's time to come back. Gently bring your awareness back into your surroundings, your immediate space, and attend to your senses again. Are there any sounds coming in, near or far? Do you feel the sensations of your breath in your body? The sensation of your physical body on the ground? If your eyes are still closed, maybe noticing any visuals behind your eyelids. Or if your eyes are open, gently taking in your what's coming into your vision. Softness around the periphery. And start to gently introduce some movement. Just notice where in your body wants to move. And when you feel ready, obviously if you have time to stay and rest for longer, please do feel free. You don't need to move. But if you are ready to return, maybe have a big stretch. Gently walk your feet in towards you, your knees into your chest. And roll over to your side. And then gently press yourself up to seated. Take your time. And when you're there, just taking your hands over your heart space, relax your arms and your shoulders. Just bring your attention into your compassionate heart space. And maybe say internally, I hold myself gently. Bring your palms to touch. Namaste. Thank you, everybody.